I'll give you some little tips on how to help the little artist that doesn't send anybody's way on this panel. If you've got any small artists and everyone's going, oh, post-Brexit, it's a nightmare, blah, 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 blah. The Music Managers Forum and the government have done a lot to help us get into countries without a carnet. For anyone who doesn't know what a carnet is, that's basically a passport for your equipment. And we always, if you're sending equipment abroad, that's what you needed. If a band are travelling with their equipment, so if they're in a splitter or they're just travelling in a vehicle or going on a plane with it, literally they can take that equipment without carnet, and it's just what we call a temporary admissions process. They can take that with them. My advice would be to create a list. I'm happy to give any client of yours this information. Doesn't earn me any money, but I just really want to help the smaller bands get out there and do it in the most cost-effective way they can. If those artists join the MU, and currently it's £1 and it's free for 6 months, and then it's £21 from then on. For that, they will get £3,000 worth each of equipment coverage. They will get public liability insurance up to £10 million. So, any faux pas that they do. And it will just mean for them that they can do touring in a very, very cost-effective way without all the burdens of the EU. You've still got to check on visa requirements going into each country, but most of the countries now in the EU will let the artist in without a work permit. So when everyone's still citing, oh, Brexit, yeah, we all know the joys of Brexit, but actually they can go on tour and it not be ridiculous. If they do need to get a carnet, the MU will do the one with a company that they've engaged with for £270. So the costs have kind of, we found ways to work around it. I would always say, as Martin says, come and talk to me early. I get people call me 2 weeks before a tour where they've gone and booked a load of cheap flights. They're going to like the Far East, they're going to Australia. They think they've done great. And then they look at the excess baggage policy and then they realise they're paying by the kilo. And then they ring me up and go, can you get it there? And I see that they've got back-to-back dates. And I'm like, we can't move freight like we move people, unfortunately. We have to go through customs clearance. So I say, I hope you've got a travel agent, because if you might have looked at the British Airways flights and thought they were expensive, but actually BA do a really, really amazing media baggage policy. And so what you've saved yourself, it's a bit like we all do it, don't we? We see the Ryanair flight and we think, wicked, 27 quid, I'm going to Reykjavik for the weekend. And then suddenly you have to pay for your seat. There's going to be like some little bag about this big, and then suddenly when you add it all on, you look at the cost of the BA flight that was probably going at a really nice time of day and go, actually that in the long run, that was probably cheaper. And it's the same, and it's kind of like, and just because a tour manager says, but hey, Lisa, we did this route 4 years ago, doesn't mean to say that route still works for us today. So there are a lot of things we can do. Like I worked with one of our own bands 3 weeks ago, did exactly that, booked cheap flights, then looked at the excess baggage policy, and it was going to cost them £6,000, which basically meant they wouldn't be earning any money. So, everyone's got a bit tearful, and I'm like, whoa, talk to the travel agent, managed to change some of the flights, get them back on BA flights, managed to convince the band that all the equipment they wanted to take, they didn't need to take. And they're lads, they only need jeans and a few T-shirts, black T-shirts. It's always going to be a black T-shirt and a pair of jeans. How many black T-shirts do you need in your bag? And then we worked it out, and we managed to strip it back a bit of what they were taking, managed to move their flights onto the British Airways flights, and what was £6,000 became £1,000. And that's, for some artists, that makes it, a profit-making tour or a loss-making tour.